Hey,
Hello.
hi everybody.
Okay. I'm Katherine Kostoff, and I'm here with the legendary Gil Goldstein himself.
Hello
So, before
everybody.
we start our conversation, I just wanted to thank Gail Boyd for inviting us and to giving us the opportunity to talk about our album, which is called It Happens Like That. And it's currently available on all digital platforms. And I also want to thank Scott Thompson, my publicist, for making all this possible. So, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a songwriter who sings. I wrote my first song when I was 12 or 13. I started playing the piano at 8. And I love songs. I love songs more than I can say, really, because you can take a song and capture a moment and make a whole story out of it, or take a lifetime and make sense of it in a song in 3 or 4 beautiful minutes. Um, I don't know if I ever made a conscious decision to write songs, but I just ended up doing it. I also ended up being
It's a need of yours.
the luckiest person in the world because I got to work with my musical hero, Gil Goldstein, on my album. And so
Thank you,
I'm
Kat.
pretty sure he needs no introduction, but I will give one anyway. So, Gil, you have collaborated with pretty much any great contemporary jazz name that anybody can think of. Gil Evans, Miles Davis, Michael Brecker, Pat Metheny, Bobby McFerrin, Spalding. This is just on the top of my head, and can't even say all the names because that's going to take the whole half hour if we go over the list. So Gil is a
I've been
brilliant
very lucky.
pianist and a phenomenal accordionist and composer and a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant arranger. And so I'm so lucky to have had him arrange my songs. He can make a good song great and a great song incredible. That's what you do, Gil.
Thank you,
And
Kat.
I'm just so lucky. And I'm very often asked, what is an arrangement? So you're the master. You Can you explain to people in a simple way what does that mean?
I get asked what is arranging too, because whenever
I
I
know.
say it to yeah, they go. I say, well, what do you do? I said, well, I'm an arranger, and they go, what exactly is that? So, and I always, after I answer, I go, I should have said. Now I'm thinking back to, I think the last time that I was asked it, and I'm remembering what I should have said coming back to me now. And I think like for a lot of people, they know, let's say the Beatles very well. And we all know, or we should know, the layer of greatness that George Martin arranged over the Beatles
Sure.
music, and you can now hear, all the tracks without the arrangement. And he's kind of a hero of mine along with Gil Evans because he does what's really necessary for the song and nothing more. You know, he doesn't he doesn't try to make it super fancy. He just really adds the intuitive link that makes the song translate and makes the song clearer. That's always a goal of mine, to try to take a composition and somehow to make find the elements in the song that make it that song. And then I always feel like a really good arrangement has every note that you write or add to the song somehow belongs to the song. And sometimes it's hard to describe, you know, how do you justify that belonging to the song? And I don't know the answer to that, but sometimes you go, this is the phrase that I need to put here. And I
Mhm.
like to think that it's related to every particular song that I arrange on.
I think
So how
sometimes
was that?
it's hard for people to understand it because arrangement is not something you see, it's something you hear. And they don't really know what part of what they hear is the arrangement versus, you know, who is improvising, or the singer, which is the easiest thing to notice. Um, but I usually describe it as just, you take the song, the melody, and the rhythm, and you actually tell every instrument what to do with it and what to play. But how do you decide on the
Yeah.
ensemble? For
But I mean,
example, for our album, did you have, when did you decide what ensemble to do?
that's a good question. And, that's what I always love about um, the process of arrangement because, and look, sometimes it's part of the nature of the recording business now that, I could say, I would hear a 30-piece string orchestra with a full complement of woodwinds and brass. You know,
Mhm.
I might hear that if there was no budgetary considerations, but generally there are. So I've become very accustomed to writing for five. To me is a good amount of instruments in an
Mhm.
orchestral grouping that can give a very full sound, and it doesn't break the budget. I think you can go from five up and create very
Mhm.
big sounds. And how do I start picking the instruments? Once I start listening to I forgot the first song that I arranged on your record, but
Was it?
it might
I
have
thought
been
it was
Disclosure.
Disclosure. I think so. I think you did
I think
Disclosure
it
first.
was. I think it was Disclosure. And somehow, another thing that I think is an important part of arranging, which a lot of people will be able to understand too, if you hear, Frank Sinatra sing a song like Summer Wind, you know,
Yeah.
I'm blanking on the actual intro figure. Ba ba da 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 dee da be da. That's the
Yeah.
arranger. Ba
Mhm.
da
Mhm.
da ba. Pardon my voice, but so at some point the arranger has to. It's part of the job and part of the agreement that they're going to create additional material, usually as an introduction or an interlude or some interesting background line. And I generally, once I start looking at a song, I wait for an introductory figure to occur to me. And it
Okay.
usually happens when I least expect it. I'm like, you know, doing anything else but thinking about the job, and I get a melody idea and I go,
Mhm.
oh, that could be part of that song. I kind of ordered it subconsciously, and then it shows up. If I'm lucky, it shows up. You can't really force it in a way. You kind of have to wait for it to
Wait for it.
appear, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, it's a lot of the creative process is waiting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a lot of waiting. And then somehow, once I had that opening figure, it said to me the instruments that it needed to be. And then, I think I went right to the instruments, but I might have started writing. And then eventually, I might have replaced one instrument with another. And
Yeah.
I remembered, that you had said originally that you weren't very fond of flutes. And I've actually arranged for
I remember that.
several
Yes.
singers that said, flute. And, yeah. But, I can't get away from flutes. To me, flutes are just like the perfect instrument, especially the lower flutes that really resonate and really create a an overtone wash that create amazing sounds when they
And
combine with
the
other
texture.
instruments.
I think they add such texture to the whole thing. You changed my mind about
They
flutes
really
completely.
do. Oh, good, good.
Yes. This also,
I've done
and then
other
when he had
projects.
Rich Hugh
Yeah.
do the solos, I think he was phenomenal.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Reed is amazing. I discovered him the summer before I met you, and he's unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an
Yeah.
amazing soloist. So, and so it just started to develop, and for some reason I didn't hear strings um, on that first one. And I like to, if I'm producing a record, like to keep a record in the same general sonic context and
Sure.
not have
Yes.
one song with strings and one song with brass. Nothing wrong with that, but I think it's nice if you create a whole work with the same fabric, you know.
I completely
And
agree. I think it's so important to just have a
so,
unified sound for the whole album, which I think we have in this case. So, but when you first
you just
heard all,
reminded me too, because when yeah,
yeah, okay. No, I was just gonna say
go
when
ahead.
I first sent you all the demos and you heard all the songs, how do you decide which one to arrange first?
Again, it just kind of, it's like one just kind of jumps up in the pile and goes,
Okay,
hey,
pick me.
I'm first. Yeah, I don't know how, but I like that process. It really does present itself as the first one, and then I kind of almost the next ones kind of just appear, you know. Um, if you're on a roll, and I got off on a nice roll. I mean, we only really met once in person in Long
Yes.
Island and went through the songs, and I felt like I had enough material to, I mean, enough input, should I say, to continue. I heard you play the songs on the piano. I heard demos of the songs. I heard a couple of the songs that you had already kind of started to arrange. And
Yeah.
I had plenty of information. So
Sure.
then, and then quite honestly, then it's a matter of kind of stepping back and going, okay, now what do I think, is the best way to frame things.
Yeah.
So in a
Yeah.
way, you kind of have to push away from the demo, and you know, so and then find your own voice. Hey, look at that! We have a Facebook user
I know
comment.
somebody's writing to you. Okay, I have to put my glasses to see it. Let's see. It's to you.
I heard
Okay.
often, but I don't. Oh, I remember Bob Kindred. We did do a
Okay.
music score for a film that I wish I had heard. We did that's right, we did a sexy version of the Moonlight Sonata.
Very
And
nice.
I don't think it made it into the movie. It was too sexy. It was too sexy for the movie. And unfortunately, I don't have a copy of it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But don't you keep all of your, like, everything you do, all
Sorry
of your,
about that. Well, I don't really have every, takes from different movie scores or even takes from records that might not have made the record. I try to
okay.
save, I feel very fortunate that I work in Sibelius as of 15 or 20 years maybe. And I don't know that I would even have all my scores like so fast if it weren't
Mhm.
all in Sibelius and I can just go, People call me up and say, Gil, do you have that arrangement you did for me on the thing? I go, yeah, sure. I don't even bat an eye. I
Yeah,
know I
yeah,
have it. So if I had to go back to that big box, with a bunch of tunes in it, I would panic
yeah,
because
yeah,
there's
yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
stuff that
So
honestly
before
I've
Sibelius,
lost track of.
did you handwrite everything before Sibelius?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Oh my God.
And I would have sessions like I did a record with Wallace Roney kind of early on as an arranger. And, um, I wrote all the score. I did so many records that I wrote all these very quick scores in my Passantino, notebook, and they were
Yeah,
very sloppy. I'm embarrassed to say, and then I'd be looking at them. I'd be looking at them at the session, and people would like come over and look at the score, and they go, "Oh wow, what a
yeah.
mess,"
Are
you
you
know.
serious? Believe
But I just kind of, well, I would, yeah. Are you serious? Are you a professional? So I would just come to the score as to the session, but I double and triple checked it, and I would write all the parts out. It was at a
that?
point where, a budget was such that I did the arrangement and also copied all the parts, and then it got to, a point where I had to give them all to a music copyist. I remember I did the entire orchestral show for Al Jarreau, and I had to write, neat scores that I gave to my copyist, this guy, Wally Dunbar, who was a great copyist. And somehow, when I would give him the score, I felt like he was going to make it even better. Whatever I did, he improved it somehow by the time he neatly wrote in all the notes in pen by hand, And my
Yeah.
scores at that point got appreciably better, you know. But and then Sibelius, and it looks like, I honestly tell you the truth, I had a dream when I was a kid, learning. I started on accordion and then I started playing piano. And I remember having a dream that one day there would be a typewriter that you could type music in, and it would make it really beautiful and nice, and and I think that's what Sibelius and the notation
It came true.
programs
Your
became,
dream came
this
true.
kind of amazing
Yeah,
music
yeah.
typewriter that you can. Hmm?
Your dream
It's
came
a
true.
miracle, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do
Yeah,
you sometimes
it's so
dream
true.
things about, like, when you arrange something or when you work on a project? Do you get ideas in dreams?
Very rarely. Now, let's talk about you, Catherine. This is your record. What
Yeah.
about the process for you composing? What about
Well,
composing as a process? Do you find it similar to the arranging process, or
in a
how
way,
do you?
the writing to me is, I like to describe it as a cultivated intuition, because it's that thing that you need to recognize when idea is worthy. It's almost like,
Exactly.
yeah, I read it somewhere. I think Charles Bukowski had said that writing is like watching a bug, waiting for the bug to come on the wall so you can squash it. And it really does feel like that in a way. Because I hear and I have ideas all of
That's
the
such a
time.
Bukowski.
Yeah. But you have to kind of
Bukowski has to make it so violent, doesn't
know.
he?
but but I think in a way you kind of have to learn to recognize which ideas are good and which ones are not. Because I could write a song every day, but it's not going to be a good song every day. So you kind of have to, I think you have to learn to recognize which ideas you can develop and which can become really good songs. And so for me, it's always something,
I
usually
totally
my
agree.
process, Yeah, for usually my process is, I get a phrase which is with words and music, but then I always finish the music first, and then I work on the
You
lyrics.
always do the music first? You always compose
Yes,
the
I
music
always
first
finish the
and
music
then
first.
apply.
So for me,
Okay.
and then, but I usually know what it is about because I have a phrase or two. I might have a
Okay.
line,
Okay.
but it gives me the idea of what it's going to be about. And so
Gotcha.
then after I finish the music, I finish the lyrics, knowing what it is about. But the lyrics are very tricky after that because you have to match them to the music. So you kind of have to find their own rhythm, and they have to be, I think, very precise and very uncluttered. Because then I usually,
But
after
sometimes,
that, yeah, then I work on the singing because it has to fit exactly the way I hear it in my head.
I didn't hear that last part. You said the what? You have to
I
work on
just
the
have
what?
to kind of work on the lyrics last on how to say them also. So, which is part of my singing process.
Right, right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got you.
So it
And
kind of,
sometimes you probably have to change the song a little, right? Do you have to change the
well,
rhythm of the melody something?
I don't like to change the melody. So I usually have to really work very hard on the lyrics to find the exact thing that matches the music. Because sometimes I don't want to compromise my melody to fit the lyrics. So I could spend, hours and hours with thesaurus and with
Okay,
rhymes and just finding the right thing. And sometimes, rarely, but sometimes it happens that it just flows and it comes by itself. So that's a lucky break.
gotcha.
Every once in a while, you get a lucky
Oop,
break.
you just froze there.
I
Okay,
did. You froze
sorry.
for me. Oh, okay. So,
Okay.
you,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
probably my bad internet. Sorry about that, everybody.
it's okay.
Um,
I hear you now, but you
but
froze.
I understand. Yeah. I mean, I very rarely write lyrics, but I could, yeah. Can I say also, can I say also that you're taking arranging lessons from me since the
You can
record?
say that, yes. Yes. I'm learning. I'm learning from the master.
Hello? Okay.
Yes,
Oh, now we have a question from Gail.
we do.
Is your
Okay.
song completely finished before you hand it over to an arranger?
Absolutely. Yes. My song is always completely finished before I show it to any soul that just lives. I have to have it perfectly done before anybody hears anything at all. So I work a lot on it. I first work on the music, then on the lyrics, then on the singing. And after I have sang it for a little bit, then I'm ready to show it. I would not show anything that's not finished. Okay, that was the question, right?
Sorry, you were breaking up there again.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Now you're fine. Well, speaking about this project, I wanted to ask you, Gil, was there anything that surprised you about this particular project?
Okay. I had sorry, I apologize that I had hard time to hear your answer because it was breaking up a little bit. And again, it's probably my side of the internet. But the answer that I would say is a song ever completely finished? And by the same token, is an arrangement ever completely
Well, yeah, that's
finished?
true.
And
That's true.
I would say no to both.
Yeah, but at least you have a moment in which you reach a presentable moment. A moment when you say, okay, now I can show it. At least, You can still make changes and perfect it, but it reaches a moment in which you can show it. And I just don't like to show something that is only that is just a skeleton,
Oh,
unless,
for sure, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I would show you something now when we work on our arranging lessons. I could show you something that is just the idea or the skeleton. But if we're
right.
working on a project to
I guess it's
produce,
also like a film, once you release
yeah,
a film, it's released.
sure, sure. It can always be better, of course, of course. And you can have different versions too. I think I like always hearing different versions of the same song.
Okay, I hear you. We like that.
Okay, greetings,
Another
Katherine.
question, where can we get your new release? And why the title?
Ah, well, the title is the title of the first song on the album. It happens like that. And so if you hear the
I think
song,
we
you
had
will
a
know what it means. Um, but it is about things that can happen out of the blue without any explanation. And it could be both good and bad.
You'll hear
It's
the
always
rest of the
relative,
story.
I would say. And so the album you can find on any streaming platform right now. It is available everywhere, and it will soon be available for purchase through my website, and hopefully through Amazon. This is something in the works at the moment. But right now it is on all platforms. And so, yeah,
All
you can
right.
also find it.
It looks like we
You
got
can
3 minutes left.
I think we only have 3 minutes late. Yeah, I guess so. You can also find links to all of the platforms and all the songs on my website, which is Katherine
Final
Kostoff.
thought, Katherine?
Final thought. I don't know. I'm just so happy that I got to do an album with you. So I'm hoping then we will do another one. The next one too. What are your final thoughts, Gil?
I didn't really hear your final thoughts. Was it that we do another record together? I heard
Yes,
part of that.
that was it. You heard
Yeah,
it.
I love the process of working on new material, and I hope you come up with the next 10 songs and we do another project soon.
Yes, in the works. Absolutely. Well, I guess that's all the time
And
we
we had a
have.
great team on this record too with
Yes, I know. I loved everybody we worked with. So it was just fantastic. All the musicians and Steve Rodby and all the engineers, everybody. Everybody was great.
Dave Darlington, fantastic
Yes, Dave Darlington
crew.
too. All of them. I guess
Next
we're off now.
next
I
time a
don't
whole
know.
different set of songs and new.
Yes, I don't know. Sharing your thought.
We had a
Thank you.
good beginning, but our ending was a little jagged.
Yes.
Thank you.